everybody, and welcome to the Bryan Foltice Behavioral Finance Podcast. My name is Dr. Bryan Foltice, and I am an associate professor of finance at Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana. And my goal is to teach you about the area of behavioral finance in hopes of you making better financial decisions with your life and your money. We're going to talk today about this selfishness and altruism. So there's your word for the day. Altruism is something we're going to learn about today, and we'll define it. But first, what we're going to do is outline a game to see how we're thinking about our day-to-day decisions and our financial decisions, and also understanding, are we acting rationally? Are other people going to act rationally? And which one at the end of this is right? Should we be fully selfish? Should we be fully altruistic? And so that's what we're going to do today. So thanks for watching. And if you haven't, please make sure you like and subscribe, comment, and let me know what you would like to talk about. We are just getting started in this content. So the goal of this podcast was to lay out the course structure of the behavioral finance course that I teach each semester. And for those of you keeping score, we are just starting section 3 of 3. And we've already covered some of the fundamentals, introductions to market efficiency and prospect theory. In that second section, we took a deep dive into heuristics, mental shortcuts, and biases. And finished off with overconfidence. So that was our last podcast. All of these are available on YouTube channel and then also on any downloadable podcast. Buzzsprout has done awesome. That's where I house my videos, or not my videos, but my podcast recordings. And they have that centralized distribution channel where I just sign up for everything. So hopefully it just gets the word out there, and I want everyone to learn as much as they can about behavioral. And I'm super excited because I realize that this is just the beginning. There's just so much more to talk about, and we're going to move this into a bunch of different deeper dives into more areas of behavioral finance. And so if you think that we're just skimming the surface, well, we are. And we're doing that on purpose. It's to build this foundation and to give, like I said before, a comprehensive framework of behavioral finance, which I haven't seen yet. So I'm giving my best attempt. And we're going to come back and continue to fill in the cracks and do a deeper dive in a little bit about, all right, how now that we have this foundational, let's zero in on you. How you can make better decisions, how we apply this in different areas, and how we can help ourselves, and then also help other people make better decisions. And I'm getting the sense right now with how I'm feeling about this podcast and this material is that it goes beyond finances. So there's this wealth and spreading that is not just monetary. And so I'm starting to feel that and experiencing a bunch of changes in my own life, and it's just kind of brewing up in me. So that's where we're going to be going. But today, we're going to stick with the plan. We are in section 3. So we would do this in class, and I would split the class into 2, and we would partner up with an anonymous partner, and we would set this up, and we're going to play 3 games. So imagine you are in group A. We're going to imagine the other scenario, but I want you to be in group A for this first one. And you are all given $10. So you're given $10, and you can give your anonymous partner anywhere from $0 to $10. So let's just keep this on a integer basis. So whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 0, all the way up to 10. And you're going to pass that number on. So I want you to think of your number. Now, but I also want you to think about the rules for group B, because your partner is going to have an option this time. Either accept the offer that you give to them, And if that's the case, if they accept it, then they keep their share of the money and you keep, in group A, the remainder of the money. So, of course, if you give $5, they accept it, you both keep $5. However, group B also has the opportunity or the option to reject this offer. And if that's the case and they don't like your offer, they get no money and you get no money either. So I want you to think about what you would give. What would be the number that you would give? And it's got to be between 0 and 10. So you're going to be a dick and give 0. Good chance you're not going to get, it's going to get rejected. So neither of you would get the money. If you're too generous, then you are going to give away all your money. They get to keep it. So we have to find that middle ground. Now, traditionally, I've done this in every class that I've taught. The average is 3.9. 3.9, $3.90 on average is the amount given. And what I've experienced is usually the 5s are generally accepted. 4s, sometimes accepted. 3s, barely ever accepted. 2s and 1s, I don't usually see accepted. And obviously 0s are never accepted. So anyway, that sweet spot is basically 4 and up. And this is what we call the ultimatum game. This is the ultimatum game. And we want to, like I said, we're talking about selfishness and altruism. And all the way back from our original introduction, we introduced to you this Homo economicus individual that all financial and economic models assume exists with every single person. And this is that we're fully rational and fully self-interested at all times. This goes back to our talk about expected utility maximizers. So this is exactly what we're talking about. And we have fully selfish intentions with our decision making. So what I'm going to ask is, well, before we do that, that's our ultimatum game. And that's our game 1. The next one is similarly structured. Okay, so you stay in group A, you have the same partner, and we're going to give you again another $10. Now, in this game, the group B has no choice on whether or not they can accept the money. So in that case, now we really test the altruism or selflessness of an individual. What would you give to this anonymous individual? And so usually the number diminishes and the average goes down to about 3. And so we went from 3.9 down to 3. And this is what we call the Dictator game. And that's our game number 2. The third game that we play is, once again, you start with $10. You choose an amount, again, between $0 and $10. And you give it to Group B. Now, Group B can take that money, and any amount they give back to you will be tripled. So, or any amount that you give to Group B triples in money. Okay, so if you give $10 to Group B receives $30. Group B receives $30. And then you're left with 0 at the moment in Group A, but they have the choice of sending you anywhere from $0 to $30 back. So once again, if we do $5, you send that over. Group B suddenly has $15. Group A holds on to the remaining 5. And then Group B has the option of sending back $0 to $15. Okay, so a little bit more complicated here. But now you're going to multiply by 3. So there's an opportunity here. But now we have to, this is called the trust game. We have to trust that group B is going to actually bring it back. So now from the Dictator game, where all of the weight was on you as a decision maker and all of the benefits and costs, now all of a sudden it shifts, and now all of the decision-making ability and ability to influence the decision is now on group B. So, what would you give? 0 to 10. So what we usually see is 5 is the magic number. So you don't want to give all of your money right away, even though that would be the ultimate ideal scenario. So if you had perfect trust and everyone was in this happy giving world, you would send over 10, they would receive 30, you split the proceeds. Both individuals are much better off than they would ever be than they started with, right? So that's the ultimate ideal situation. But now all of a sudden we have this friction of selfishness. And you can see people struggling with this, and we usually fall right in the middle. If I give $5, at least I know I can keep $5. I also know that the individual will have $15. So they're doing pretty well too. And if there's a trust involved, they'll give me 5 of those back and we can just both walk away with $10. But there's that risk of them keeping all the money and you not you only having $5. So this is what we call the trust game. And usually, like I said, that number goes up to about 5 on average. Some give everything, and we see a wide variety of results. So this was a really interesting one where it truly can be a win-win if everyone's selfless. However, we also see once that selfishness steps in, we all retreat and become very selfish. And that leads to the least amount of money in this game, at least. So we have at least outlined the 3 games, but now I want to come back to this idea of fully rational decision-making. We're going to be fully self-interested. So what would be, we go all the way back to this Ultimatum game. The question I ask is, what is the rational number to give to Group B? With this, we also have to assume in a world where your participant or your partner in Group B is also fully rational and fully self-interested. All right, so with that assumption, we have to think, let's start with the Dictator game. Dictator game is easy, right? Because they have no choice. You are fully self-interested and they have no choice what to give. What is the fully rational, fully self-serving amount? It's 0. So I've got it listed here. There's game number 2, our Dictator game. Now let's go up to the Ultimatum game where your group member or partner have a choice of sending money back. This one you have to think about, because if you start with 0 being full self-interested, you start with 0, they look at it and go, well, I get no money, so this does me no good. I reject this. And so you walk away with no money. That's not self-interesting. If you give $5, like we've said before in this Ultimatum game, there's a very good chance that you will get that $5 back. But that is not maximizing. And of course, Group B will take that. They'll take that $5 because anything they receive more than 0, they're going to be better off. So they're going to take any amount greater than 0. With that being said, what would be the ideal amount that you would give, assuming that they're fully self-interested What would be that amount? The answer is $1. The lowest amount that you're allowed to give. Now, the rationale behind that is I, Group A member, want to keep the most money. So that's $9. But I also know Group B needs to accept this. And if I can assume that Group B is fully self-interested and fully rational, they are going to take $1 over $0. So $1 is that ideal number. Any number higher than that, you're giving too much money away. And then the trust game. Trust game, what would be the ideal amount to send over, knowing that it's going to triple and come back? And we have to be careful about this one because your intuition might say 10, but I wanted you to think about the other guy or on the other side who's getting 30, and they go, oh, 30. I'm going to keep all that myself. So the answer is 0, because if they are fully self-interested, they're not going to give any of the money back. So the answer there is 0. So now we have this defined altruism. And this is what it shows. In real life, people are altruistic. Altruism means the belief in a practice of selfless concern of the well-being of others. The selfless concern of the well-being of others. And we see it all the time. And we see this that we're going to talk about it. What's good? Is it good? Or where do we find ourselves? But what we do is we find ourselves in real life that we act altruistic. And we don't act like what the behavioral models would predict that we would act. Because we're not fully selfish. We're not fully self-serving. So my question to you is, you say, well, I'm fully rational. I just want to act. Let's just be like a fully rational person. I said, okay, here's the question then. Would you tip at a restaurant? Oh, here in America, obviously, the standard is 20%. And depending on the level of service, you can kind of fluctuate. But generally speaking, you're going to be around 20, 25%. At least that's what I do in my world. I used to be a server at Applebee's way back in the day. And so I do realize the hard work that goes into being a server. And so I usually tend to help them if possible with a good tip. But the question is this fully rational? Now, we want to assume a couple of things. First, assume that you will never go back to that restaurant, that you are swinging through town or just are never coming back. And then also you want to make sure that all the service, and this is generally the way it is at most American restaurants, all the service is taken care of. So all the food's done, everything's been cleared. You don't need anything else from the server. So the service has already been done. And now you're full and you have to make this payment. And now it's time to send the tip. You're fully rational, fully self-serving. What do? Now, this fully self-serving individual, they've already received the benefits. So this additional money that they would be giving does them nothing. So because of that self-serving individual will not tip. And also the reason that the service has been done, so there's no additional utility for them. So why would they give up any money for that? And they'll never come back, so they won't get, their food spit into or something horrible when they come back again. And so, of course, I've been teaching this for a long time, and I always think about these kind of things. And I'll never forget going to, this was when I was finishing up my doctorate in Germany, and I was in the job market to become a professor of finance somewhere in the United States. And there was a period when I was in this job market that I flew back and forth from Germany to the United States about 6 times in 6 weeks, round trip. So I remember that being very jet lagged, not knowing what day or time it was, just a big haze all through that period till I landed this job at Butler. And so anyway, whenever we would travel, I typically would have a connector go from Dusseldorf to Chicago O'Hare Airport. And in the international terminal at Chicago O'Hare, of course, you get off the long flight and you're looking for just some food options before you head to your last leg, whether it be up to Michigan or to Indianapolis, and need something to eat before you make that. And so you're in this terminal and you're looking around and you think Chicago O'Hare, huge airport, all these options. Well, in that terminal, the only option that I could find that would be viable, because all I wanted was a warm meal and a beer. And so I found Chili's. And you know what you're going to get with Chili's. Like, there's one everywhere. It's Chili's. So I was fine with that. And I knew I was going to pay airport prices. And I was also fine with that. Just wanted a sandwich and a beer. Well, I sit there, and I've been sitting there, and the server, the waiter comes up, and he's probably a middle-aged guy, 40-something, maybe 50-something. He goes, "What do you want?" What? I'll have a beer. Walks away. All right, and so he just snippy, like never had such bad service. It took forever. Finally came around. I got my food, had my beer, never asked for another one. I wanted another one. And it was just the worst thing. And so teaching this selfishness and altruism and markets and everything, I was thinking to myself, man, if there was ever an opportunity not to tip or to give a terrible tip, this is it, because I did not receive adequate service. And I felt like there should be a market force that would tell this guy, look, you are not very good at this. Maybe you can find something else to do, something that's less people intensive. And so giving him that monetary punishment, if you will, kind of would push him into a right direction. So I felt like I was moving him forward, kind of like you don't, why would you pay or tip, never mind. I was talking about a strip club where, why would you, never mind. Back to this guy. $28 bill. And I tipped, it was $28.20, I want to say. So I tipped $1.80 because I know he has to pay like the hostess and bartender. There's a payout that he doesn't get all of it. So I didn't want him to go backwards, but I didn't want him to move forward in any significant way. So I gave him $30. $30, $1.80 tip on $2.80. The worst tip I've ever given in my entire life. And and I walked out. Said, fine. So walked away, went here. So fast forward 2 years from now. And I said, I'm never going to that Chili's again. Don't worry. So I was okay with stiffing the guy on a tip. 2 years later, I going back through O'Hare, same kind of deal. It was a international trip, going through that same terminal. Found myself in the same circumstance of there are not a lot of options in this terminal, and I thought to myself, there's Chili's again. I could just do Chili's, and I thought, what are the odds? What are the odds that this guy is still there? I mean, he clearly was not very good at this. So what are the odds? So can you just go in? You know you're going to get a Chili's experience. Just take it, right? Well, I walked in, and as soon as I hit the hostess stand, I saw him. And what's more interesting is he saw me, and we locked eyes. And we both went, and he ran over to the manager and said, I could just see him going, do not put this guy in my section. Absolutely not. I was like, 2 years ago. And we both remembered this thing. And so anyway, I said, no, if that's okay, I'm just going to go. So I didn't want to be in his section either. So we're concurrently doing this thing. I said, I just want to go to the bar. Can I just sit up there? Because I knew the bartender was already standing there, and then she would take care of me. And so we did that. Never said a word to the guy, but I made sure that I gave the bartender this over-the-top tip to show this guy, hey, once they talk, say, well, if you just do your job, you're going to be well compensated for this. So anyway, if you're going to be self-serving and follow through on this, make sure you know you are never coming back, because they will remember, and just makes it kind of funny, but awkward. I'm not making it a habit of doing this either. So, who do you think is the most selfish? So we've done a lot of tests and a lot of done all these tests in many different arenas and different groups of people, and I found that the most selfish people, individuals, were from the Machaguana tribe. The Machaguana tribe. Hope I pronounced that right. And they're in the Peruvian Amazon. So very primitive, underdeveloped. These were the most selfish groups that were recorded when we do these, that at least I know of. The most altruistic individuals are actually young children. So people are naturally altruistic or selfless, and they come from young children. And so what ends up happening is, over time, we start building up this me, take over for myself. And there's this, what I believe is this scarcity mindset of, oh, I better hang on to this because I'll never see this dollar again. And we become more selfish than altruistic. So the overall concept, though, of this selflessness is cultures with active trading exchanges. So think developed versus undeveloped. The developed countries are actually more altruistic. They are more selfless in how we report or how we give money, and or how we do these games as well. So cultures with active trading exchanges report more generosity. So here's what I want to ask. Where do we fall? Like, what's the right balance with our decision making, or how we deal with our finances? And I don't have all the answers. In fact, I am going on this journey as well, and I'm fluctuating back and forth. And I feel like I'm really close to finally tapping into this perfect amount of altruism, and with the right spirit. So taking you back to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and my upbringing. We never talked about money, which is exactly why I like teaching college students, and I like talking about money, because it's not something we should be scared about. It's something we should be openly discussing, because when you don't talk about it, it leads to bad decisions. And I never had parents to talk to that was about money, so I had to learn everything the hard way. This is exactly why I'm sitting here in this chair, talking to you and teaching you about this, and knowing that I can be a resource to help, and that I'm always here. And that's why all my students have the Foltice lifetime guarantee, where they can always reach out and ask any questions about life or money. And so I had this upbringing, this middle-class upbringing, where we never talked about money, but my sense of money was a very scarce scarcity mindset and anything we have, and we're always really fearful about the next thing that would happen. So we just hold on to money because we need this to just survive, and all these bad things can happen. So that's how I grew up, and I was thinking about that, and didn't know any better. But then we got plugged into a church when I was in my 20s, and we were very active in the church. And it was this non-denominational church in Jacksonville, Florida, where we were living. And man, we were really pumped up about it, and we were in all the small groups, doing all these things. And but it was just pummeling us over the head with tithing. And it was this old school tithing, have to do 10%. And look at what happens if you do 10%, you get it back. And so I was like, this was at the time when I was starting to piece together finances and understanding that, hey, look, we have to spend less than we earn. We build some savings. We're going to change our wealth and blah, blah, blah. And so I said, oh, wow, well, almost like an investment idea. If I give 10% and pastor says he's going to get more than 10%, back, well, this is a great investment. So we were tithing and giving and really punctual about 10%. But the heart behind it, we had to reflect back and be honest with it. We go, all right, well, I'm giving this out of either an obligation because pastor said so, or I'm going to get this with a heart that says, oh, well, I'm going to get this back. And it's going to come back to me more. So I'm just doing this as more or less a pyramid scheme or investment idea. And so you realize, and then you come back and you go, oh, I kind of had my aha moment a couple of times when you move away and when you're not there, everyone just leaves you alone. So it's like, okay, what I thought was this community was not actually a real authentic community. And then secondly, I started digging into the scriptures that they were talking about and going, wait a minute, this Malachi 3:10 and 3:11 that they're talking about, this was not even written to the people. This was written to the clergy and to the priests who weren't paying their taxes. That was the 10%. I was like, wait a minute. So where's Jesus talking about tithing and this obligation to give 10%? Nowhere to be found. So I was just like, screw that. And then, of course, I go back and I read this Millionaire Next Door. So I've gone from this, scarcity to giving, but with the wrong intent. And so then I retreat back to this scarcity. I'm just going to build wealth. And the Millionaire Next Door, I've got 10 copies behind me. And they talk about, the characteristics of millionaires. And one of the things that most millionaires do when it comes to giving is they say that I'm my own charity. So I'm my own favorite charity. So there's this, once again, it's this hoarding scarcity thing. And so I was just like, screw that. Church didn't do anything for me. What did I get back from that? So what, the pastor, how big is his house? What, the wealth they're getting, this doesn't make sense. It's not even the right scripture that they were talking about. So it wasn't even like this cynicism. It's just like, no, it's just, never mind. Came back and was like, I'm my own wealth. So now I'm making 4 times as much earnings, and my wife at the time was making 3 times as much, whatever. And that was with no tithing. We're just our own charity, and we'd give some money, but we're just building wealth. And like, that's pretty cool. But then once again, you're going, we're back to this scarcity mindset. So recently what I've been thinking about is, and been working on and reading about is, what is true affluence and what is true prosperity and wealth? And we always think about wealth as this like monetary number. And was reading the book here, so this is what it's called, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. This is Deepak Chopra. And just talking about the law of giving. And it says the word affluence comes from the root word afflure, which means to flow to. So to flow to. And so the word affluence means to flow in abundance. So to be affluent is to flow. And so I started thinking about money in terms of flowing, not just hoarding it, because I would save this money and it wouldn't grow or do anything. And I was really tentative to invest. I've shifted my mindset into let money flow through you. And that's what true abundance is. And to flow in abundance. So that means money is going, I'm giving money out as I see fit. And I give it with a heart of just, I have abundance. And I'm giving it out to others. And it's with a heart that I don't need anything back from it. It's like I've got an overflow. Once I start talking positive to myself, I've got an overflow of energy that goes out to other people. And it's not coming as a cost to me. It's just pouring out. And I thought about that with money too. Is just let money flow through you. Give money to people as you see fit, and just kind of whatever in your heart, and you do that. And as soon as you start doing that, money starts coming back to you. You go, well, that's pretty cool. Let's try that again. And you do it again. And one thing I've had to learn over that experience is I also have to learn how to receive and believe that I am worthy of this flow and abundance, to let this go. And once that starts happening, all of a sudden this energy, and then money is just this part of this energy that's flowing through you. And it's been unbelievable how channels of income pop up, and you start rolling in and you just go, oh, I've got all of this stuff. I don't even know what to do with it. And so you invest it, and now you're sending money out. And I just go, I think I'm onto something here. And this is altruistic. But now this is almost like this invisible trust game where you just kind of pass it out and bring it back. And so anyway, that's been my experience, and that's where I've been at. And it's been unbelievable the past few months to see how this works. And they're not miracles anymore. They're just day-to-day occurrences of things that flow through and come through. And even this podcast was born out of, look, I just want to get the word out, and I want to help people. And now all of a sudden you see different streams of income coming from it and going, look, I accept this, but this is born out of altruism. And so my encouragement to you is, let's really rethink how we are dealing with our money, and how and are we and have a real heart to heart and really understand with yourself. Am I in a scarcity mindset now? And I'm not saying, look, I'm gonna just piss money away and throw it out all over the place. And but the more I've done this, the more I said, I'll give this money away. It's all coming back to me. I'll have an idea. I'll have something. Like I'm in the flow right now. And so that's where I feel like where I'm at. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. So I don't need to preach or anything like that. I just wanted to share where I've come with my journey, and then tie it into the concept here of what we've been talking about with selfishness and altruism. So I guess I've come a long way from the O'Hare Airport, stiffing the guy, and I'm glad I have. But hope this helps you, and want to open up the floor for any questions that you might have, and hopefully we can have a continuing conversation around this. Otherwise, we're going to continue to talk about more social forces, so moving into how society influences our decision making, and we're going to go into that a little bit deeper. But if you need to contact me, I would love to hear from you. You can hit me up at bryanfoltice.com, see what's going on there. You can see me on Instagram, and I think I'm going to come up with a Facebook page. Why not, right? And we'll be there as well. And you can just send me a comment or a message on YouTube as well. Would love to hear from you. Hope everyone's doing well. See you next time. Wish you have a great week in the meantime. Take care, everyone. Bye.